There was no design. I think I got into academia because I actually can't remember when I decided to get into academia. No, I mean, I first wanted to, my ambition was to be a diplomat, to go into the UN system. And I actually became an intern in the UN system. And then I wrote a report on the World Land Reform Conference in Rome, and I gave the report to my boss, who was a Russian guy called Mr. Romanov. And Mr. Romanov took the report and he opened the drawer and put the report in there. And every morning I would come and I would open the drawer and I'd find my report there. And after a month I wrote another report on the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Conference, and he opened another drawer and he put the report there. And I eventually realized that reports are meant for drawers and nothing much happens to them. And I left and I became an intern at the Uganda mission to the UN. And I used to write speeches for the ambassador and in the different UN committees he was in. And he would give the speech, and there would be like 7, 8 people in the committee, and 2 maybe resting or relaxing. And there was me in the audience listening to him, and I realized that if I was really successful 30 years down the line, I would be him and there would be another me standing up there listening. And so I said, forget it. And then I used to play music. I used to play sitar, Indian instrument. And I applied to Shantiniketan, which is an ashram set up by Tagore in Bengal, to study sitar. And I got in. And I bought myself a cabin fare on the Queen Elizabeth. And I was in New York City. I went to see a friend of mine in Harlem. And then I was going upstate New York to be a camp counselor for 2 months, and then I would take this ship. And when I went to see my friend, for a half hour I came back down. I was driving somebody's car. All my things were in, they were all stolen, including my briefcase, which had my passport in it. So I became stateless because the Uganda government had a Uganda passport. And it was just the beginning of that dynamic which ended up in the Asian expulsion here. It was 1969. And anyway, they wouldn't reissue me a passport. They said I'd have to come to Kampala. I didn't. So basically I couldn't go outside the US. Then you had to register for in January as an alien in the US. And I didn't register because I didn't have a passport. And eventually I got a draft notice, and I got so scared I flushed it down the toilet. I thought that would solve the problem. Of course, I realized in my sober state that that wouldn't solve the problem. I decided to apply to graduate school. So I applied to Harvard. I got in. I actually got a big fellowship, 5 years, and so I got in there, and still I hadn't thought that I would be an academic. I didn't know what I would be, but I was doing a PhD because there was nothing else kind of that I knew that I could do.